Hey Algebra 2, this is your 5-6 video over the quadratic formula and the discriminant. I'm just going to talk about the quadratic formula and we will talk about the discriminant in class. So you should be familiar with the quadratic formula, except I know it's been a while, so here's your review. Quadratic formula is going to solve for x. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Oh, there's a song that goes with it. Alrighty, so the great thing about the quadratic formula is it can be used to solve any quadratic equation. Any at all, doesn't matter what your coefficients are, you can plug it into the quadratic formula. The one thing that you need to make sure has happened, though, is that your quadratic formula is in standard form, so that it's ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Must be in that form. And then you get your a, your b, and your c out, and you plug them in accordingly for a, oh, there's another a, b, and c. Alright, so we're going to look at some examples. So solve x squared minus 2x minus 4 equals 0. It is in standard form, so I'm going to notice that a is 1, because it's the coefficient of x squared, b is negative 2, and c is negative 4. And then my suggestion is going to be that you always start out with writing the quadratic formula until you have it memorized. So negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, from there, plug in some numbers. So I'm going to not necessarily simplify as I go here, just so you see where I put everything. So that first negative came with the problem. That's that negative, and then I put in a negative 2. Yes, you can simplify it to positive 2, but just so people see where I put things. Plus or minus the square root of, anytime you're going to square a negative, it must go in parentheses. Negative 2 squared minus 4 times a times c, that's a negative, all over 2 times a. So after that, it's just following your order of operations to simplify. So we get 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 plus 16. And when I do that, I take those three and multiply them together. If it's a positive, you put plus that number. If it's a negative, you put minus that number. All over 2. So this is 2 plus or minus the square root of 20 all over 2. We're going to simplify our square root of 20, square root of 4, square root of 5. So this becomes 2 plus or minus 2 square root of 5 all over 2. We can divide everything by 2 and get 1 plus or minus the square root of 5. So not just the square root of 5, because 2 divided by 2 is 1 and not 0. So there you go. Plug in numbers, simplify. We're going to look at one more example. So what happens if it doesn't come to you in standard form? So you need to set this equal to 0. It does not matter what sign your leading coefficient has in this case. For other things, I've always said, make sure your leading coefficient is positive. Doesn't really matter. So right or left, here, tell you what, we'll move things to the left. So we're going to subtract 101, and we're going to add 3x squared. I should have left my room there for my 3x squared. Okay, so those cancel. We're going to write this in descending order. So negative 4x squared plus 40x minus 101 equals 0. So what is a? A is negative 4. What is b? I don't know why my 4 is not. There we go. What is b? 40. And what is c? Negative 101. So it doesn't matter what numbers you have. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alrighty. Equals negative 40 plus or minus the square root of 40 squared minus 4 times negative 4 times negative 101 all over 2 times negative 4. Alright, so this is negative 40 plus or minus the square root. Well, so 40 squared is 1600. So it's going to be 1600. And then I'm going to multiply negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 101. And I'm going to get minus 1616 because it's a negative 1616, all divided by negative 8. So that simplifies to be negative 40 plus or minus the square root of negative 16 all over negative 8. All right, well, don't simplify yet, like the 40 and the 8, because you can't do it unless you're simplifying something right here as well. All right, so what is the square root of negative 16? It's 4i. So 4i over negative 8. All right, so from there, everything divides by 4, so let's divide everything by 4. And in fact, let's divide everything by negative 4. It's going to be a positive 10, still plus or minus, like when you divide it by negative 4, it flipped them, but this is just going to be I over 2. All right, write down any questions you have. If not, I'll see you in class, and we will talk about the discriminant. Have a good day.